Hi fashion lovers, welcome back to my channel. My name is Judith. I'm a fashion designer and I'll be taking you through a series of pattern making tutorials. Now in today's video, I'll be explaining in detail how to apply your measurements to create the pattern of a curved corset. Now while making this video, I realized it was too long, so I split it into two parts. Now this part has the tutorial for the front of the corset, and the next part, which would be part 2, would have the tutorial for the back, and you get to see the finished product as well. So please like, share, subscribe, and let's get into it. So this is the sketch of the dress I want to make today. It's actually a skirt and a blouse. As you can see, I managed to sketch the print of the dress to suit my fabric. So I'm going to emphasize on the corset tutorial in this video, which is the top of the dress actually. That's where our teaching today and emphasis would be on. First of all, I need to take this step by step. So I'm going to write out my measurements here so that you can also, be guided on what measurements I'm using, how I'm applying the measurements, onto the fabric and, in marking and cutting out. I've written out my measurements. Round my bust is 37 inches, around the waist is 30 inches, the hip 41 inches, the breast point, basically shoulder to the nipple point, is 10 inches, shoulder to under bust is 13.5, and half length, which is your shoulder to your navel or your waist length, is 18 inches. So the first thing I'd like to do, or I always start with, is to place my tape in this position and I mark out certain points. Now the first point to mark out is your underarm, which is here. This is your underarm. So I usually use 9 inches for my underarm. So I'm going to mark a straight line at where number 9 is. 9, where I find 9 inches. And then the second point I like to mark is my under bust point. Okay, so sorry, bust point first and then under bust. So bust point is 10 inches according to this measurement. So 10 inches, and under bust is 13.5 inches, which is here. Usually the bust point for a corset dress is not usually relevant, just because you're using a different type of cup unlike the cups that you have to construct. So if we're constructing a cup for this particular corset type, then I would apply the bust point, basically a different type of corset, because there are some corsets where you don't use the original cup. So this is the cup I mean, right? These ones are ready-made cups, and these ones you don't really need to do all of that for this type of corset that I'm about to make. But for certain other corset types, we usually use especially when your client's bust is bigger than this, obviously you could use your regular breast pad maker. So you also go ahead and you mark your half length, which is 18 inches, which is here. So the corset comes down to this area. So from your half length to this area, I usually use an extra 5 inches. So 5 inches plus 18 inches is 23. So which is here. So I'm also going to make a line at 23 inches. So I thought to make the chalk markings bolder so that you guys can really see. So the first thing to do when you've gotten to this point is to measure the under bust. Now for my under bust line, which is at 13.5 inches, I usually take from the center and I mark 4 inches here, and then at my half length I mark 3.5 inches. Now half inch is gone because at this part we're going to create a dart from here down. So it's not going to just necessarily appear as a dart, but it's going to appear as a more of a joining line here. So, and here. So that is what causes that line to appear on in front of the corset. So it helps shape the corset as well. So I mark that line there, and also at the base of the dress I also come back out with 4 inches. So now at this point that I've marked, I'm going to mark out 1 inch here, especially at the waistline, and I'm going to join these lines here and then to meet this one, and then do the same here and here. So I try not to make the lines so sharp, like very edgy. So I try to make them seem like a curve. So it guides my cutting. After I've done this, I proceed to now apply my measurements. So my round bust is 37 inches. So the front has half of what the back has. So 37 inches into 2 is 18 and a half. So which means the front measurement is 18 and a half. So the fabric for the front is obviously folded. So that means we also have to divide 18 and a half into 2, which is 9 1/4. So I place here and I get 9 1/4, which is my bust measurement for the front. And then I add an extra allowance. Usually for corset, I just add ½ inch allowance, and I mark it all the way up to where my armhole line is. So the next thing is the waist measurement. So my waist measurement is 30 inches into 2 is 15 in front, 15 at the back. So this is the front we're trying to cut first, and the front is 7.5. So from here to here, where this where I did my dart is 3.5 inches. So I take 3.5 inches and I place it here. So I jump the dart to place it here. So let's do that again. So 3.5 inches, and then here I place 3.5 here. So it's like a continuation of the measurement, because obviously this part is going to go away. So 3.5 here, and then I'm looking for 7.5 inches, obviously, which is my waist measurement. So this is 7.5, and I add an extra ½ inch measurement here, which is 8 inches. I connect my bust measurement to my waist measurement on this line. After connecting it, I have to make room for where it comes down, because this is your waistline. So here the corset is coming down towards your hip area, this part here from the waist down. So it has to, come out to accommodate your hip. So I usually just mimic, I just do like a slight curve to mimic the pattern. So to better help you understand what to do, you could just extend the line where your waist measurement is. You could just extend the line downwards, and then add an extra 1.5 inch to it, and then connect the line. Just so you're not, confused as to how wide you should make. Yeah, so basically the base of the corset is not just a straight line. It usually has like a curve. So you come up by another 1.5 inch from here, and then you do a curve to meet this point where the dart is. So placing the cup, you come here to where you have your bust point, measure out 1 inch or 1/2. Basically it depends on how wide you want this point to be between both cups. So I usually just use 1 inch wideness. So I add the extra 1/4 for sewing allowance. With this point and the under bust point, I'm going to place my cup. The base of it should touch your under bust point, and then the rest of it goes up. Now remember to always fold your cup in the manner you want it to appear, because sometimes if you press your cup this flat, it means after sewing your cup is going to be flat. So but if you want your cup to obviously be in this shape, you should also hold your cup in that way when you're making your patterns. Now when you've made that curve, where your cup would be. Now you can see that it goes above your underarm measurement. So what you do is do like a curve to meet up with wherever the cup took me to, which is just, I think is about an inch or so above my underarm measurement. And with this, we have successfully created the pattern for the front of our corset dress. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'll cut out this pattern that I've made. So after cutting, this is what it looks like opened up. So this is the center and these are two sides of the front.